Of all the youth hockey players, the percentage who eventually get drafted into the NHL is less than 0.05%. But 100% of the players in this video heard their name called on draft day. We've been traveling all around the world over the last 8 months asking hockey players what's the biggest secret to success in this sport and hearing your name called on draft night. We go from the last round all the way to the first overall pick who will be a future Hall of Famer. So let's get started with the 204th overall selection by Washington in 2013, Tyler Lewington, who saw 12 games across 4 years of being in the NHL.
Growing up, it seemed like a dream, and going through junior, didn't really think too much about it, but just tried to work hard and, go day by day. And obviously it was surreal when it happened.
Dennis Robertson's performance in the NCAA allowed him to hear his name called by the Leafs in 2011 and since has played in 276 AHL games, helping Charlotte win a championship while then going overseas to Europe, winning an additional 2 Austrian championships.
I don't know if it was anything specific. It was just, that attitude of, continuously getting better and always improving and always learning the game. I think that was, I went from junior to college, and that's, the NCAA is a lot higher pace and a good level, and I think that challenge really pushed me to accelerate my game, and it forced me to adapt, and I think that was a big part of it. But I don't think it was any one thing in particular. It was just that continue to improve. You're always improving, and that's something, even as a pro, you're always getting better and you're always trying to improve your game. It was very cool, definitely. So I was drafted as an overager, so I wasn't an 18-year-old. I was a 19-year-old in the draft, and so it was cool going as somebody that had been overlooked before and even overlooked through major junior. Like, I wasn't drafted in the WHL draft or anything like that, and so to be recognized as an older player for the work that I did after, I wouldn't say I was like a natural talent, so that was nice to be rewarded at that point after kind of not being a Ryan Murphy, as you say.
Now we fly all the way over to Australia to catch up with Scott Timmins, who was a part of winning 5 championships in junior hockey, and despite being passed up in his first draft year, got called by Florida in the 6th round during the 2009 draft and would play 24 NHL games before heading overseas to play pro hockey in Europe.
Good question. I was 2 years late, so I was a bit of a late bloomer, so I actually wasn't really expecting it. I kind of just given up at that point, giving up hope anyways. I was still loving hockey, and that was my goal. But I guess just never give up, really. You just never know what's going to happen or who's watching or what it's going to take or kind of when it's going to click for you. So definitely I wasn't ready at 17 or 18 to be drafted, but 19 I had a really good year, and very fortunate that Florida was able to select me.
Next, we're in the beautiful land of Manchester, England, chatting with not one but 2 players, one of which gives us a sense of the first round pick wisdom that's to come later in this video when we hear from our first overall selection, Joe Morrow. He was selected in the first round, 23rd overall to the Penguins in 2011 and played 5 years in the NHL, suiting up for 162 regular season games, while his teammate Noah heard his name called by the Hurricanes in 2016 with pick number 164, and despite not going pro right away, won a Canadian national championship in university before starting his professional career.
All right, Joe and Noah, we're here in Manchester. Big win against Sheffield, but basically what I've been doing whenever I run into a couple NHL draft picks, I've been asking the question, what do you think the biggest secret is to hearing your name called on draft night, basically to help the future generation? Any little insight that you guys can give us?
You want me to go first? You'll go first.
Yeah, you nail it.
All right, I'm going to be honest, I don't think there is a secret. I think consistency in what you do. I think that the more that you love the game, the more it gives back to you. As a kid, you're always trying to make it to that level. Any teacher that asks you, obviously you say when you're a kid, I want to play in the NHL, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I truly believe that the consistency and having that passion and love for the game is what will separate you from everybody else. Not saying that people that don't make it don't have the passion or the determination to do it, but I think it's a lot of right time, right place, getting on a good junior team, just being consistent in what you want to do, and not ever really having a different facet of your brain go to something else. When I was little, it was just hockey. That's all I had. All I had was just hockey, 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 and I never really wanted to do anything else. So it was just a very, very consistent mindset of all I need to do is play hockey. And if it doesn't work out, at least you can go home when you're however old, 18, 20 years old, and say that you tried your best, you tried to live out your dream. There's no regrets, but I would say that that just the consistency of having that love for the game will reward you in the end.
Yeah, kind of to go off of that, it is just about the passion and the fun, having fun. And then when you get to the older age, it's about having the right people around you, the right people to support you, you know, making the right decisions, you know, staying away from, you know, the bad, you know, little fun spots that maybe, you know, as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, other people are doing that you can't do because you have to look down the line and what you actually want. So the support system around you is very important, and then having fun, especially like maintaining the fun, is very important.
Awesome. Hey, thanks, boys. Congrats on the win tonight.
Thank you very much.
Now we're in Sweden for one of the biggest games of the year, the Stockholm Derby, and before we get to chat with our first goalie of the video, Victor Brattström, who was a Red Wings prospect.
I think it was my competitiveness. I think I never gave up, and I usually never give up. So, but I think around that time, I bounced back every time during games. I remember that season. Just not giving up.
And then his teammate Daniel, who was a Stars prospect.
When I got drafted, I was pretty small. I needed to build some muscles and get stronger, stuff like that. So that was one thing we talked about a lot.
Now we are back in Canada hearing from our first ever Stanley Cup champion. Ben Hutton was a 5th round pick in 2012 that has now played in over 500 games, and is still a member of the Golden Knights, who he won the Cup with in 2023.
What do you think is the biggest secret of hearing your name called and being an NHL draft pick?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, obviously it's a huge honor being drafted to the NHL. It's your first step, you know, into making it into the big leagues. I mean, everyone dreams of it when you're a kid, and that's your first step in. But after that, you get comfortable with the organization. You get to learn whoever's organization you're with, and then from there on, it's just making a good impression and making sure you show up at camp and ready to go.
And then when I was home for the summer, I decided to make a quick phone call to a former Sharks prospect and friend of mine, Jason Churchill, who is a Newfoundland hockey legend, and here's what he had to say.
Like, if you want to put it to one word, I guess, to simplify it, would be like endurance, I guess, or something along those lines of like never quitting, because, you know, like, just like stick with it and perseverance or endurance to, you know, continue on type of thing. Like, because there's so many ups and downs, and you never know what's going to happen, you know, when the next day or whatever. So if you're having a rough time and, like, you know, you push through it, and people see that. People notice the small details of it, and it matters, because some of the questions that I had in interviews were questions that were surprising on the small detail that people matter. And even now, in today's world, people are so have access to so much information. People know who you are before they draft you.
Heading back over the pond, we got to chat with former Flyers forward Taylor, who played 55 games in the NHL and has been a star in Germany's top hockey league for the last 4 seasons.
Oh, my story is a little bit unique. I didn't make the WHL when I was 16. I went back and made it AAA in Saskatchewan. I don't think, even looking back now, that I was ready to play my first year. So I went back and did well, gained confidence, scored a lot, and then jumped right into the dub when I was 17, which is your draft year, as a rookie. And I played mostly like a third-line role in Portland. We had a really good team. We went to the finals. And honestly, I didn't even think about the draft that much. I just focused on my own game in Portland, developing properly, contributing to the team. And I think in the Central Scouting releases like a halfway draft ranking, or like pre-scout on the draft eligible players, and I don't think I was on that one. And then at the end of the year, I was on it, and yeah, I was really excited. I wouldn't say surprised, but I was just maybe a little bit surprised, but it was really exciting. And then I ended up going 4th round to Philly. I was not at the draft. I actually was playing for Team Canada in ball hockey World Championships in the Czech Republic, which is wild. And the day we won gold in ball hockey was the draft day. So I found out after the game in Czech that I got drafted to the Flyers. And I would say the best piece of advice is define your daily habits to when it doesn't feel like work. It just becomes in your daily schedule, all the little things that you want to become, and they just become habits, honestly. And you're working towards a goal, but if you do small things every day, it's compound interest that'll just keep adding up slowly and slowly, and eventually, hopefully, you obtain your goal.
During the Spengler Cup, we caught up with my old Ottawa 67s buddy Noel Hoffenmeyer, who was drafted by the Coyotes in 2017 and is an all-star AHL defenseman.
All right, we are now in Davos, Switzerland at the wonderful Spengler Cup with a good old buddy of mine, Noel. Great to see you, buddy. The question we've been asking NHL draft picks, what do you think is the biggest secret to hearing your name called on draft night?
I think for me, what I learned in my draft year was just taking it day by day. It's a really crazy year and it's a fun year, but if you just take it day by day, then at the end of the season, when you're all set and done, you'll reap the rewards and feel the benefits after. So it's a fun year for all the young lads going through it, but just taking it day by day and enjoying every second of it.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, good luck in the tournament.
Thank you.
Just outside the top 100 with pick 101 in 2014, the Jets selected Nelson, who played in 11 NHL games and 6 years in the AHL before heading over the pond.
Yeah, well, I didn't go to the draft. I stayed home because my draft year I was injured, so I wasn't sure where I was going to go in the draft, if at all. So I was with my family at our family cottage in Saskatchewan. Just really cool to share that experience with them, being around my close family, my mom, my dad, my Guido, my sister. So to share that with them was really special. And I think it was just knowing who I was as a player and just making sure that I always worked hard no matter what was going on. I think that for me was the biggest thing, was just, work ethic. That's something that my dad taught me at a young age, my mom taught me at a young age, and I just continue to try and do that every day, even to this day now.
Another Jets draft pick shined for Canada at the World Juniors, played 9 NHL games, and is now a star forward for the Straubing Tigers in Germany, JC.
With being drafted, it's awesome to hear your name called, and yeah, like I said, it happened 2 years later for me, but it's not the end of all be all, is that the way to put it? Yeah, but you just gotta work hard every day and realize that you're getting to play a game for your job, and you want to do that for as long as you can. Each year I love it more and more. So.
Our first brother of the video, Graham Clark, has played in 3 NHL games so far while being a consistent star in the American Hockey League, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I think it's just a combination of a lot of things. I think obviously your draft year, how you perform in those games is important, but also I think there's a lot of other things that go into it, like you do interviews and stuff like that, where they kind of want to get to know you and want you in your organization. So just being a good person as well. So a combination of those two things, and usually it goes well for you.
And staying in Canada, just in this last draft now, here's the newest Flames prospect and one of the best D-men in the OHL currently, Henry Muse.
But basically, I've been asking all the guys who are NHL draft picks, what do you think is the biggest secret to being an NHL draft pick and hear your name called?
Yeah, I think just consistency on and off the ice. I mean, your habits, your routines and stuff, just consistency and working, trying to get better every day, like that 1% better every day. And even though you're good, you can always get better, and you want to be the best. You got to keep going, and there's always someone working harder, and you just got to put the work in every day and make sure you do something every day to get better. So I think that's the mindset I have.
Troy Burke has now played in over 500 professional games across 5 countries and was an Avalanche prospect after they selected him in the 3rd round, and we joined him after one of his games in Austria to hear what he thinks the secret is.
Honestly, I feel like it's, as a young age, was pretty driven, and I think it was more so looking less at production and more so on trying to get better each day. I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but it truly was kind of a recipe for me, and still is as I get older. Every little thing you can get better at will improve the game overall, and I think as a smaller guy, I was able to improve some of my defensive game, and that I think that was part of the reason why I was drafted, as well as being a good teammate. So that was. It's like I said, kind of cliche, but I think putting in the work every day kind of helped.
Our next draft pick comes from a family of incredible hockey talent. Philip Samuelsson was selected in the second round by the Penguins in 2009, and here's what he had to say.
Firstly, I just remember sitting in the stands and in Montreal with my family there, and wasn't really sure what to expect. We'd flown in from Sweden, and I think my parents had a sense that I might get picked. I just didn't really know when. I was ranked like 4th, 5th round, and second round we went to first round because one of my good buddies was there, and we watched him get picked, and then we left, and then kind of started settling into it the next day. Obviously the nerves are on your mind because you want to get picked, you want to make your family proud, you want to make sure that all your hard work is paid off up to that point, and when you finally hear it, it's a pretty surreal feeling. You get swept away and shake 1,000 hands and smile for 100 pictures, and it's a moment that I'll never forget, but it's just like it's gone in the blink of an eye. And getting to that point, there's a myriad of things that need to go right. I think hockey is a pretty black and white profession, or it can be, and I think hard work can get you a long, long way. Obviously, you need to have some innate talent, and you need to bring something to the table. But for me, it was my physical skills have kind of developed the more that I've played, and I just worked really hard to get to where I was, and was able to do a lot with the skill set that I had. I've always thought the game pretty well, and I think that's what helped me to get drafted and has helped me to keep playing to this day.
Our first Ottawa Senator prospect, Johnny, is now playing professionally in Sweden and was the 48th selection in the NHL draft back in 2018.
What do you think the biggest secret is for just young players getting to hear their name called on the big stage like that?
I don't know if I have a single secret. It's just, I think it's the years of hard work and time that I put into, working on the game, working on stuff that I wasn't good at, and growing the stuff that I was already good at. But, the draft is just one step. I was drafted 6 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it is now. And, that team didn't ultimately work out. So I think everybody's route's very much different with it and how it goes. It's just a step in the right direction. I wouldn't look at the draft as like a pivotal moment. It's obviously a cool accomplishment to be recognized for how your game is going up to that certain point. And everybody's career is different. Everybody, finishes at a different time, whether it be your own choice or somebody else's choice or whatever that may be. But your career is your career, and what you do with that and how you kind of pave it and travel with it is very much up to you and the work that you put in. And I like that everybody's different. That's the big thing, that you can't compare anybody because everybody's just different and unique in their own way. But for me, it's just keep on working. I love this game. I want to do it for as long as I can and accomplish as many goals as I'm able to.
And now, before we get to our first round picks, I need a quick favor. I'm trying to land us a show on ESPN, and I really think they'll notice us if we hit 100,000 subscribers. So can you please hit that button right now so we can do even wilder episodes? Okay, so this player actually hasn't technically been drafted yet, but Victor Eklund is projected to go in the top 10 of this upcoming draft, and here's what he had to say.
All right, so Victor, obviously you put yourself into a position now as a Stockholm kid, developing your game in Stockholm, to now be projected around the first round of the upcoming NHL draft. What do you think has kind of been the biggest secret to getting yourself in that position?
I don't know, just have a lot of fun out there, and hard work, of course. It pays off, and I've been starting this season pretty good, so hopefully continue with that.
Well, hey, I'm hoping you end up somewhere in Canada so I can go see you play a little bit more.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Next, we have a Boston College star and the Bruins' first-round selection of 2024, Dean Letourneau, and here's what he thinks is the secret to hearing your name called in the first round of the NHL draft.
The biggest secret? Yeah, and hearing your name called.
Like to get drafted, biggest secret? I would just say working as hard as you can. We spend a lot of time here with Tony and just extra time too. I know a lot of the guys in here, we work out 3 times a week, and they also work out on their own at their house 3 or 4 times a week. So it's just putting in that extra work when you're not just at the gym, just maybe at your house doing whatever you kind of can. I think that's kind of the biggest secret, is just working as hard as you can. One thing for me is like sometimes when I think I'm working hard, I try to work even harder, just to make sure I can get to that next level. So I think that's probably one of the biggest secrets.
Back in Australia now to hear from Sharks former first rounder Ty Wishart from 2006. He played in 26 NHL games and has now played in over 900 pro hockey games around the world.
You know, geez, I mean that's a tough question, but I think you know, the consistency. I mean, when you're young, it's putting in that work on and off the ice. I think people will see that. You know, the other thing too is to stay humble. It's very easy, especially in today's market, to get blown up in the media. It's everywhere nowadays. So I think to be able to stay humble and stay consistent is definitely a big key.
Almost cracking the top 10 with pick number 12 in 2011, Ryan Murphy played in 7 years during his NHL career for 175 games.
Yeah, I mean, it was a special time. I mean, back then I was, looking back, I was a young kid, and I didn't really know the ins and outs of pro hockey. All I knew was how to play the game, and I didn't really know where I was going to go. I had a good idea of who wanted me, and I remember when it got to Carolina, Ron Francis looked up at me. My mom said it was her, but he looked up at me and gave me a nod, and I remember the feeling. It was pretty amazing. You work hard for it. You play so many hours on the ice, so many early mornings on the ice, and going to junior and just putting in the work, and then to be rewarded to be drafted and to fulfill your childhood dream was cool. I mean, I wish I could go back in time and change a lot of things, and I wish I was a little bit more mature in those days, but it was definitely a moment I'll never forget, and something, I have a kid now, and I can brag to him that I was a high pick, and I'll put the pressure on him to go higher.
And now we've got the other half of the Clark brothers, Brent Clark, one of the best young defenseman prospects in the NHL right now, who plays for the LA Kings.
There's just it starts here. It starts in the summer. It starts with putting yourself in the right situations. You want to come into camp with good optics on yourself, with the coaches, have a good belief system in you, and then just kind of roll from there. It's all about confidence. It's all about getting your opportunity and running with it. So getting drafted isn't the be all end all. It's obviously good to get drafted. It's good to have the right eyes on you. I was fortunate to be picked pretty highly. I was fortunate to be in a great organization, but I've seen a lot of guys that kind of take a different path from me. So it's all it's not the beginning or the end of your hockey career by any means, but I'd say that's just kind of what it is. Taking the opportunity that you're given, pushing yourself every day. It's a 365-day job. There's not too much time off, especially because someone else is doing it. Someone else is pushing for that spot that you want. So I think that's just I know it's tough. You're 17 years old playing hockey. Realizing this could be your full-time job in the future. So it's tough to put yourself in that frame of mind. But the best kids will do it. The cream will always rise to the top. So. Yeah, I think that's just what it is. Just kind of switching your mentality, realizing that this is possible, running with the opportunities that you're given, and just having that belief in yourself.
The tale of a first-round nothing, Shoresy star and personal friend Terry Ryan was selected 8th overall for the Canadiens in 1995, and here's what he had to say 30 years after his draft year.
Alrighty, so we're in my home province of St. John's, Newfoundland, with the one and only Terry Ryan. Terry, it's so good to see you again.
Great to see you, Robert.
Now, one of the things with this video, the comment thread has been, what do you think is the biggest secret to hearing your name called in the NHL draft?
Oh God, there's a lot to that. I could say the generic, don't give up on your dreams and everything, but I would think people know that. For me, I was an only child, moved away from Newfoundland. There was a level of inferior, there was something in my mind I had to get over, that, small province. Moved away to a league where everybody certainly knew each other more than I did. I was a bit of a outsider. So I think what you need to do is be vocal, be the first in line, ask questions to the coaches even if you know the answer. Just make people know you're there, leave an impression. I think the talent will take care of itself. And not only does that make you seem engaged, but it also, for me, it calmed my nerves. It helped me get to know people out of default. You're communicating. It looks like you're into it, and there's no team on earth that I know that doesn't like that and appreciate someone working hard and doing what they can to communicate with others and immerse themselves in the drills or the systems, whatever it would be. I mean, that's just one little part, but something that a lot of people don't think of.
And I think another thing would be too is listen to your podcast, eh? Get some good nuggets there.
Tales with TR, there you go. Of course.
I appreciate it, Terry.
No problem. Thank you. Good luck with it.
Before we get to two players who have played in over 1,000 NHL games, I need to tell you about ProView Hockey. This platform gives you access to individualized video coaching from current NHL and AHL players. Hockey IQ is a trained skill, and this is the platform to allow you to exercise. Learning from the best will only help you be the best. ProView Hockey can be a great tool to even help you hear your name called at the NHL draft one day. So visit the link in my description and check it out for yourself. Now we're back in Switzerland to chat with two people who had extremely successful NHL careers, playing in over 1,000 NHL games, drafted 6 overall in 2006 by the Oilers, Sam Gagner.
I think it would be passion for the game. I think if you're not self-driven to get better and just really enjoy being on the ice and pushing yourself, then it's a hard league to make. So I think that would be the biggest thing.
And finally, our number 1 overall pick from 1997, over 1,700 games played, more than 1,500 points, NHL MVP, and most points in the 2005 to 2006 season, a future Hall of Famer, Jumbo Joe Thornton.
Alrighty, so we're here with the legend himself.
Oh,
hey, it's such a pleasure, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing this. We're asking, like I said, NHL draft picks. What's the biggest secret to hearing their name called on draft night? Obviously, it was a special one for you.
Yep.
1997, first overall.
Long time ago, yeah. For me, it was just, I loved the game. That was the bottom line, and I still love the game, but I just, whether it was skating outside or at the rink practicing or whatever, I was just always playing hockey, and I just really enjoyed the game. And I think first and foremost, you have to have a love of the sport, and then you can go on. But the love of the sport keeps you in for a long time.
Awesome. Hey, Joe, thanks so much.
Hey, appreciate it.
Pleasure to meet you. Not to make you feel old, but that was the year I was born.
Oh, right on. Awesome.